Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to continue the framing process, but I had some questions that popped up in the comments on the last video about how we were making some of our mechanical connections. And so before we get into the video about the framing showing progress, I want to kind of talk you through what we're using to make connections between the wood and the concrete and the wood and the steel in the structure. Wood to wood, we're using, typical framing nails. We use galvanized when we're going into the green plate, which is the treated plate that goes on the concrete. And we're using, just regular old framing nails for connecting the different framing members above the concrete level. So when we were attaching the green plate to the slab, my original thought was that we would be using Tapcons, and our framer came up with what I think was a faster, for sure, idea, and probably a better idea, because it removed the need to drill and then put the screw in for each hole where you're going to attach to the concrete. Based on his experience doing rebuilding basically a neighborhood in eastern Arkansas that got knocked down by a tornado, he said that in the houses where they had attached the green plate using these hardened cut nails and this F26 adhesive, everything else in the house was gone, but the green plates were still sitting on the slab. So, he said it's a really good attachment method, and it's fast because they put the adhesive down, take their same framing hammer, drive it through that green plate, and it locks it down to the concrete. For making the connections between the wood and the steel, specifically the speed floor joists, we were using these 1/4 inch self-drilling, self-tapping screws. And if you've ever done any work on a trailer that had a wood deck where you redecked it, that's where you'll most commonly see these things. And what we found is that the self-drilling feature, because these joists are as thick as they are, it was not the fastest way to get these things in place. So what we started doing was taking a 15/64 drill bit, pre-drilling the holes, and then this would go ahead and open it up to the required size and tap the joist and pull those members up. We were looking for either square drive or Torx drive because it's a more secure way to drive it, but these are number 3 Phillips, which is a lot bigger Phillips bit, and it gets a good grip on the screw and drives it right on in. Now, the other method that we're using to attach the framing to the concrete, where we're going into the walls, we're using these Simpson Strong Tie anchors. They're like a giant Tapcon. There's the specs on them. They're 3/8 by 6. You drill a 3/8 hole, and then your threads are actually bigger than a 3/8, and they bite into the concrete because, again, this is a hardened bolt, and lock everything in place. We had other options. I've got wedge anchors that are going to be used for some other things, but the problem with using a wedge anchor is you've got to drill the hole, clean out the hole, drive the wedge anchor with the nut on it so that you don't tear up the threads driving it into the hole, take the nut off, put your board on that you've drilled a hole in to match up where this wedge anchor goes, and then tighten down the wedge anchor until the wedges come out and it locks in place in the hole. So we took that multi-step process and made it 2. Because with these, you drill the hole, you over drill it at least 1/4 inch, and then drive it in. It's a lot faster, and it's just a secure connection for what we're doing, because these boards that we're attaching to the concrete are not really structural. Some of the rafters will be, some of the stuff that we're putting on the face of the house to support the porch will be, but these have more than enough load bearing capacity for what we're doing with them. And it's a lot quicker to get these things put in and then go on to nailing the other pieces to those boards that you've attached to the concrete. So I'm gonna pull the camera off the tripod and I'll show you some of these different connections, and that way you can get an idea of what these things look like in place. Okay, all of this lath 2x4 material that was put on the speed floor was put on using those 1/4-inch self-drilling, self-tapping screws. Went ahead and did 2 per, just because if there's any kind of twist or anything in the boards, it goes ahead and pulls them flat to give us a nice flat surface to put our sealing treatment on. And I misspoke earlier when I said we didn't use Tapcons. We did use Tapcons. Tapcons were drilled into the treated material that's going to be our rough framing for the openings, the windows and the doors, because it's not required to be any kind of super strong connection. It's just attaching it to this, the window will blow out before that stuff will come out of there. And then of course we sealed everything up with spray foam. The green plates that I was talking about, you can see here's one with one of those cut nails, and they're spread out through here connecting this down to the floor. And underneath is that F26 adhesive. There may be some where you can see it a little bit coming out the edge of the board. Yeah, here we go. So when it was pulled down tight, it squeezed that F26 out between the concrete and the board. And what Zach, the framer, because it's his crew, was telling me is, if we need to take that off once that glue's set, we're basically going to have to beat it off of there with a sledgehammer, and it'll destroy the 2x4 getting it off. The mechanical connection between the glue and the board is that strong. And I'll have to see if I can find, yeah, here we go. The Simpson strong ties were used, in the location where we had to put a board to attach the end of these lath to up against the wall. They were used when we were tying stuff vertically to the wall, and they were also used to tie in the rafters upstairs in where they came in contact with the gable ends. So hopefully, Rick, specifically, that answers your questions about how we connected this stuff, dissimilar materials and the mechanical connections that we made. So now I'm going to go ahead and start rolling in the footage of some more framing where they're doing the second floor.
Thank you. should fit, no problem. Come to me. Right there. All right, y'all up here. You just nailed it. It's inside there, like in the piece.
They just nails to the side.
What if we were just like our shot nail it on the bottom so we can, instead of fighting and holding it, that's how you hold it in place. Just right here, even below, just so we don't fight it. Hold on, let me get on the other side. We're gonna set this in. There we go, yeah.
What side you want to be on?
Here we go. That side. This one here. Uh-huh.
We're good. You want to nail it?
I gotta make sure to the top. Let me see that ladder. I need that 6-foot ladder. Just hang on. That's all right. Go right there and I can turn and come out.
Man, Brad, you look good today. Look at them boots.
actually is. Still got 1, 2, 3. What to look at.
Pass, Brad. Don't go there, does it? Brad, go past. Okay, now come back at me.
Huh?
Coming down.
We're there if you let them.
Keep coming down.
Yeah, come on. We're there.
Yeah, keep coming down.
He's coming down. He's trying to be easy with it, so this shit don't go crazy.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Perfect.
All right, get you side to side, and then we'll come off of it.
Like my, yeah. There you go. Stay right here on the screen. That's okay.
Everybody needs at least one tall guy on their crew.
There we go. No good. We'll want it all done. Watch that back side. That's a super tank line right there.
Well, it's actually one of our old safety lines. There wasn't any tag rope on
Right,
it.
it's in trees, that road.
Yeah. No strings. Coming down. Okay. There. Keep it coming. Come there you. There you go. Yeah, that's right. Hey, I'll put one of those black bars over your eyes.
Yeah,
Mike.
there you go.
Black bar?
Yeah, you know,
Pixelate
so,
on.
so your anomaly.
They don't recognize me without a beard.
I don't want to know my eyes and shit.
I'm gonna tell you what, Mike got ISIS to burn down house 6 months ago. They've been here.
Wow.
I don't know, a little too long.
Yeah, hey, y'all carry the Simpson old type concrete okay, are they wedge anchors or are they work like big cat? Do you have 3/8 by 6? What I'm looking for is the ones that are like a big cap. Simpsons is what I've been using.
This is perfect right here, guys.
Davey. I gotta have a water. Jenny!
feel the basketball player when you put that band on your head. Come out up at the top. Come out. Put a 16 in. I would put a 16 in.
Hot and muggy up here.
Alright.
Wind blows.
Well, you don't have to just hang on. La 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 la. Hold that. My nail. Yeah. We better get a bolt in there. You like it right there? Hey, don't. Yeah. Well, we're kind of fucked. Really.
You want it up at the top of that thing, or I can push it over?
Yeah.
Anyway, from the top.
Hey, Zach.
What
What are you doing? Scaring me to death.
air hose went off, and I can't shoot it this way because it's dumb 2x4s.
Went off like your pecker was cheating.
2x4s in the way.
All right, folks, I think that's going to wrap this video up for today. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a good day.